And we're live. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning for some of you who are stateside. Really excited to welcome you to another episode of the Laptop Site Chat. Today we have two representatives of the buy side. So I'm very happy to welcome Frith from MediaMath and Nick from Merkle. Hello, guys. Can you just introduce yourself very briefly and tell us what you do at your respective organization? Starting with you, Frith.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Frith from MediaMath. My role is activation and really focusing on activating the ecosystem. So really looking to bring partners that are important to us, to our clients, and very much through the lens of Source, which is an accountable, addressable, aligned supply chain we released back in September. And I'm sure I'll speak a bit more about that as this follows.
And I'll go next. I'm Nick McCarthy. I'm responsible for data solutions for Merkle, which is part of Dentsu across EMEA. And what that means is that we build out our own proprietary data products and solutions and connectivity, which enables us to join together CRM, customer experience, and media buying in kind of one integrated ecosystem. The second side of my role is I run a consultancy projects and I have a small team of consultants who help support primarily looking at data strategy, and obviously identity is a key part of that for brands right now.
All right, cool. And Merkle is part of Dentsu, right? So this covers, like, do you work with Dentsu agencies? Do you
in fact, as of about 6 weeks ago now, we actually got wholly bought out by Dentsu. So we were part of an acquisition. They actually went through an early buyout probably about 6 weeks ago now, primarily to help realign the business along three pillars, which is our CRM pillar, which Merkle is a core part of, as well as media and creative. Those are the other two pillars. However, kind of our data products and solutions kind of are there to be leveraged across the whole group. This isn't kind of a siloed piece. It's very much, we very much see data at the heart and soul of everything we do. And Dentsu have been investing in their own proprietary data solutions and products for years and years before they looked at working with Merkle.
Yeah, it's more or less an intricate part of even the creative process and obviously the media buying process, right? With programmatic at the heart of it. Great. So, like everyone, you're joining us from the comfort of your home. So, Frith, you're in New York or in Long Island, is that right?
So I'm actually out of Queens. I'm at a glamorous beach town near JFK called Rockaway Beach. Which, to be fair, if you're in New York right now, it's not a too bad place to be.
It's a good alternative to Manhattan or Brooklyn.
Yes, it is, definitely.
And how has it been? So you've changed jobs recently, right? So how has it been working from home, onboarding a new role? Like what's been your day-to-day over the past few weeks?
Yeah, so I've actually been with MediaMath for 9 years. So for me, changing roles isn't, I suppose, as difficult as some I know who have kind of moved to new companies without even meeting their manager face-to-face or person-to-person, probably is a better way of saying it. We spend enough time face-to-face on these conference calls. So in that way, I knew the company. I'm very much, have been in a range of different roles throughout the business and worked with lots of different people at the company. So I had that on my side. But I do think kind of transitioning into a new role, building out a team, and not really just being able to have a coffee with them or have welcome drinks, or just as you're planning your focus for Q2 or Q3, like how actually get together and speak. So there's definitely been some kind of challenges, but I think we're all kind of doing as best as we can, and I think making good use of all these video conferencing systems. And I don't know, I quite like there's a great game called Codenames, which I very much enjoy as a bit of a social evening kind of post work with the team. So there are things you can do to try and make it better.
I see you're making note of that, right? That's going on your list of to do. Okay.
I'm looking for. I'm always looking on the lookout for kind of work from home socializing tips. Frankly.
Yeah.
Codenames. It's a great one.
Have you done like the after hour drinks with your team as well, Nick? Or
yeah, we've got Yeah, I think throughout this kind of process of kind of working from home, we already had we had a kind of mixed office and actually client as well as work from home piece anyway. So I think as a business we've transitioned quite easily. So, but yeah, the thing you miss is the Thursday evening beers and as you said, like the coffee in the morning or those kind of pieces. So you can try and replicate it. And we've done like 4:30, which is like our 4:30 thing on a Friday. Listen, I don't make the puns.
That's going on Twitter. You know that. That's going.
Yeah, on no. But there's I can't take any credit for that. But so there's lots of both kind of large scale as well as kind of small scale drinks things, as well as like for some people who don't drink. So actually, there's been things like yoga, quizzes, those kind of things that we've been trying to stimulate. Again, fortunately, like I hang on the coattails of some incredibly smart people and some incredibly social people as well who think out some amazing ideas to how we can do stuff. Because I'm fairly rubbish at it, frankly. Like I'm like
incredibly creative by the sound of it. I like the 4:30. That's one of my favorite. A quick side note to our attendees: if you have creative names for the social gathering that you're having with your teams, or any questions, more serious questions for our guests, you can use the chat on the should be right hand side of your screen to ask questions, and we'll try to address them as we move forward with the discussion. You talked about clients and the fact that obviously like there's a lot of remote discussion with clients. Have you seen changes in the way you relate? Because this is a human business, right? We meet, we sit down, we have meetings, blah blah blah. You can say it's not always productive, but there's a human element to that relationship. Has it changed the way you interact with your clients, on both of you? Have you seen any difference? Is it easier? Is it more difficult? What's changed over the past couple of months?
I could start. I think there's a couple of things. I think one is if you're trying to get a lot of people together, I think sometimes trying to make meetings in person is really hard to coordinate. So actually we've been able to move a few things through faster, because to get people on a Zoom call from all around the country rather than trying to gather them all in New York or in London or wherever it may be, I think that has been definitely something that have seen positive. And then I think people are a little bit more like, there can always be technical issues, like you prepared a presentation and something goes wrong. Like I think people are a little bit more warm and a bit more kind of like up for seeing success or up for helping people succeed. So I think there's a little bit more like, we're all in this together. Yep. And something may go wrong, but we'll just kind of charge through it. It'll be okay.
There's a lot of goodwill. I was watching the ad exchanger whatever programmatic lab, whatever they call it, yesterday, and at some point some guy's cat jumped on his laps and was on camera for everyone else to see. That's the kind of things that you get that makes that relationship actually a bit more personal. I think it's less about like everything has to be manicured and there's room for kids noise in the background and stuff.
I've met a lot of children on Zoom over the last few weeks.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there's a different. You have to take down to kind of maturity of relationship as well. From Merkle and Dentsu point of view, we're lucky in the fact that we have long-term trust-based relationships with our clients. So during this period, like it's been about being empathetic and sympathetic all round. The challenge is when you're doing new. So like we've onboarded some new clients and we've had some larger workshops where you're trying to establish and build trust. And just when you've got a room of like 10 people and you're doing a workshop in a room where you've got kind of post-it notes and that kind of stuff, that's how you build that kind of energy and that trust. So like you have to work much harder at that. And I've seen some really great successes with that. And I've seen, I've been in rooms where I've thought to myself, please kill me now.
No names.
I won't say the partner. I think there's a bit you just have to kind of this isn't going to be forever, but it is going to massively change our ways of working for the future. Yeah. So and one of the things we've been doing is we've taken this as kind of we've got a kind of learning culture anyway. So the more we're learning, we're then kind of sharing that backwards and back and through. I mean, actually, on that specific topic. We had an email today come around going, right, what are the best practices we've had for running workshops? We ran a webinar second week in. Our Dutch team, the Dutch business we have got some amazing guys who already did a lot of their work remotely because they're a smaller team anyway, and they needed to work across Europe. So they were used to kind of that kind of way of working. So they did some great work around saying, look, this is how you structure and run workshops with new clients. This is how you do it remotely. It's how you make it engaging. But we're still trying to keep learning that. And like it'll never be perfect, and it'll always be ones that stink. But 9 times out of 10, I think it's a good job.
Yeah, and some countries, like obviously US is very decentralized. Germany is very decentralized, right? Netherlands as a culture of freelancers and kind of people working in Rotterdam or Amsterdam, whatever. Some companies and some countries are more accustomed to doing this and have better kind of rules, right? You still get on the odd call where like, you don't mute when you don't talk, and so you hold the background or like all those things, right? Interested to hear about you were talking about new clients. Have you seen a slowdown or an increase in pitches and new business? Because it's been a weird time. Obviously, like investments have gone down, but as a response, some companies have kind of taken kind of bigger pieces of work, such as redefining their strategy and potentially like re-engaging with new partners. Or is this something that you've seen on your side? Has there been a more new business, more new discussions, or have you been focused mostly on kind of handling current customers?
I can take it from my side first. I mean, one of the trends we saw last year was a trend towards really big integrated pitches. Our EMEA president, Michael Mazinski, did a kind of piece where he said, look, if you look at the types of pitches we're getting involved in now, they aren't just kind of programmatic, or they aren't an individual channel. They are media, customer experience, and CRM in one big piece. And yes, that might have multiple lots, but like in reality, they're looking for an integrated solution. So frankly, those pitches take a long time, and some of those that started last year and early this year, like haven't stopped. In fact, in some ways, they've accelerated because they know that the heart of that is a digital transformation, and the need to be more relevant to consumers and kind of be digital first. Oh, that's a terrible phrase, so I shouldn't like. But basically, be a lot more focused on customer service online. And they realized that actually they need to accelerate those programs. So those pieces have stayed with it. Those pieces have carried on going. Yes, there's been a slowdown in RFPs, but that has a benefit as well, because there's clients who would have gone out to pitch who then haven't gone out to pitch. So net, like businesses are buying strategy and analytics more than ever, because they need to figure out what's happening and why it's happening. And even at a tactical level, if they've got a load of data and data right now that's feeding into their platform systems, they need to like either jettison it because it's not relevant, or use it to refresh all their models, analytics, profiles, personas. So I think kind of it's a real mix. And obviously you've got sectors that are completely shut down. So
of course,
you just have to be empathetic to the individuals in that situation.
Yeah,
sorry, long-winded answer.
No, I think your point there around kind of data and adapting is definitely something that we've seen. I think definitely kind of like looking at the kind of supply mix and how it's changed, and how people are consuming media. I think we've obviously seen a huge increase in kind of like the available media we've had, and then especially around CTV. So it's kind of pivoting a little bit into, given the new way that people are shopping or just going about their way, how are we shifting our kind of media strategies to align with that? For example, online shopping, where everyone knows it has gone up, or people are cancelling kind of their normal event schedule, but wanting to move their money more to the digital marketing. So it's just kind of really working with each client to kind of adapt and decide how best to move forward given the changes. And I think to your piece around data, knowing that it's going to be needs to be dynamic in changes. Like you may think you're on the right path, but actually the data says something different, and you may need to adapt and change. So that's definitely an area that I see the teams and how we're working is going on.
Has there been a kind of a return to the the oldies but goodies, the proven recipe, like the safe place, or is there still an appetite for innovation? Do you still have discussions? Obviously, identity is one of the forward-looking topics that a lot of people are talking about. Has that taken a step back, or is it still very much top of mind? Transparency, right? There was again a report from ISBA a couple of weeks ago. This has been kind of an ongoing kind of challenge, but are we kind of forgetting about this in difficult times and kind of focusing on the proven recipes, or is there still appetite to kind of learn and explore and innovate? What's your impression on this?
I think it's actually accelerating the themes that are really important to the industry, and things that potentially were known have actually been accelerated faster to be like, we really need to do something about it. I think as kind of if media dollars kind of shrink a little bit, like publishers really want to ensure that they are getting the value for their media, knowing that lots of things are getting blocked. Everyone's kind of really fighting for the revenue, and therefore the need to really tighten up the supply chain and ensure that the actual media is getting through the process as efficiently as possible is, I think, something that's really accelerating. And that report definitely kind of showed that. And I think people are really reacting about it. I mean, we as MediaMath kind of launched Source back in September around this accountable, addressable and aligned supply chain. And really there, it was like, transparency is crucial. It brings trust, and therefore these are all the things needed to actually like straighten out the ecosystem and make the publishers, the advertisers, the consumers all happy and kind of like feel like that they want to invest and value the digital ecosystem. So yeah, my kind of short to that is yes, definitely. I think it's definitely accelerated the need to sort stuff out.
Yeah, I'd echo that and I'd say kind of what we see, we've also got CapEx spend running through our business, and from our perspective, like CapEx spend has continued, and if anything, they're trying to drive those types of programs faster and harder. Where they had a business strategy which they really need to execute on, like they're just trying to push and drive deliverables sooner and sooner from that. I think when it comes to the kind of the issues like a third-party cookie or transparency, like they're still massively important. But I'm also minded to kind of think of the way that pilots think when they're crashing, which is kind of aviate, navigate, communicate. So I think a lot of people are still a bit focused on how I'm going to fly my plane and make sure I'm doing the right thing. So are they being adaptable and driving change within their business? Absolutely. But it's based on their business strategies rather than the industry challenge. Because I think I mentioned to you previously, Matt, identity is a massively important thing when you look across the media ecosystem, and for brands who spend a huge amount of money in there, it's a critical enabler. But they also look at identity from a perspective of CRM, how they manage customer experience, and as a broader issue that they're looking at as part of this challenge as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Obviously, I mean that's what we love to talk about, right? But you've got an interesting point of view, both of you, right? With like more an execution layer from you, Frith, with like the ability to kind of deliver on those strategies, and on your side, Nick, more of as you said, like the overall understanding of what identity is for a brand, the brand point of view. One of the things I'm curious about, and I think one of the topics that we usually overlook in that discussion when we're like talking among ourselves in the programmatic world, is the importance of the non-targeting use cases that are associated with identity, right? There's when we explain it to our clients and our partners, we talk about identity as a way to do obviously targeting, understanding consumers and their needs, and addressing them on a one-to-one basis, but also, and maybe more importantly, measurement, right, which is hugely important. Yep. And also distribution, or like a campaign optimization around frequency capping, right? And so I guess it's interesting that you take a step back and look at it from like, it's a media optimization work, but it's also like much broader than this. How does it play a role in your like where does it sit in your discussion with brands on your side at Merkle?
Yeah, I mean, the fundamental thing that brands are trying to do at the moment is bring together their first-party data assets into a single identity view. So if I look at the things that are accelerating in the topic of identity, it is like I historically had a CRM database and I had a DMP, and like I might, there might be phrases like CDP or other things that have come out, but fundamentally, I need to have an ability to stitch together names, addresses, emails, cookies, devices, whatever it is, into one ID graph, which enables me to be able and manage that as a persistent ID over time, to enable me to be able to harness all the insight that I can gain on a consumer directly or indirectly, to use that to personalize their customer experience. Like that for them is identity. There is then a piece then about how they can then connect that efficiently and effectively into the media ecosystem. And as part of that, they can then use that either directly from a perspective of taking that first party asset, and if it's representative and there's a scaled asset they can match that into, then use that either for direct media buying or use that for lookalike modeling or retargeting. And that's where actually at the moment it's sometimes because particularly in Europe with GDPR and other areas, there's two different dynamics at play. One is like consent is key, and specific and informed consent is actually only narrowing, and the use cases you have to get consent for. Seeing the bar, some of the reports and things we've seen through from the ICO in the UK and some of the stuff in Spain is that consent requirement is going up, not down. And that's going to affect brands and publishers. So there has to be a second layer to that, and it's that second layer of what you might have from kind of that look at it, where you can't take your first party data and you can't create robust lookalikes, or you can't find some way of robust lookalikes can be from either side, either representative data on the brand side or representative data on the publisher side. So it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how brands are really focused on that as a challenge right now, I think, as well as from an efficiency of media buying in the existing ecosystem, like how they deal with that.
Yeah,
sorry,
and that's really where you come into play with MediaMath, right? Is how do you use that data in a media activation strategy? So I mean, you guys have done a lot of work around the way you handle identity. I don't know if you can talk about this a bit more. It also plays a role in the source kind of approach.
Yeah, so definitely.
How is that approached on the MediaMath side?
Yeah, I think kind of the bottom line of it, we obviously want our clients to achieve their business goals through marketing. And I think when you look at like a client's kind of overall like business goal objective about what they want to sell or whatever, and then tie it to a marketing goal, and then tie it even back then into all the different kind of digital strategies. I mean, that is obviously what we all need to do. And all of that is not possible without really nailing down identity. And I think, and that's kind of like the fundamental of what we're trying to make happen. And you mentioned kind of the attribution, the frequency capping. Again, like to get the results, you need the right data. So you're going to have to really understand kind of the results and be able to attribute it accurately. You're going to need to be able to optimize it to get the results and future cap. It's all just one big kind of loop it's hugely important for the overall success of marketing, really. So it's massive, and I think we definitely, and within Source, have a kind of addressability as a whole pillar, because it's crucial. Like we really understand that that identity is core in the way in which the marketing ecosystem should be. So it's definitely in there. And obviously I think it kind of definitely working kind of like this omni-channel basis as well. You start to kind of understand that like it's not just the devices, as we've kind of going more into CTV with kind of definitely in terms of this COVID now. Obviously this household layer as well is really important as well. So how are we adding that in as well? So there's so much in there, but to be honest, it's for success and to drive results, it's what's needed. Yeah,
it's the foundation, right? And I want to try something. We haven't rehearsed that. I think Valbona, our great marketing director, is listening to me right now. Can you run a poll, Valbona, to ask our attendees what they think is the most important application of identity. Is it targeting? Is it capping? Or is it measurement? Right? Let's give it a try. It's the first. It's a premiere. We have never done a pod. We've never done a poll.
Spice it up.
Right? But listen, we're among friends here, so let's give it a try. I hope you're listening to me right now, and you can give it up and see if we can get this going. Right? I'd be interested to hear, because again, I think it's interesting to have this kind of, really kind of overview of the applications, because too often we're like, oh, third-party cookies, right? It's third-party data, right? And so we can't do third-party data, but anyway, like there's lots of bad press about third-party data, so like it's not such a big deal. Actually, it is a huge deal, because if you cannot measure, if you cannot control your distribution, and if you cannot target, obviously, like there's a lot less value to digital advertising and lots of value for brands, because as you said, Nick, right, they cannot need to log in as a moderator. Give me a few minutes. Okay, we'll have that on. I'll be online in a minute.
I think let me see. So set a question. I can do it. Let's go. What was the question? Which is most important?
Polls.
Okay. Oh, we have measurement. We have one respondent, not on the poll, on the chat. It says measurement. Okay.
Measurement,
Thank you, Alessandra.
targeting,
and capping.
Oh, I spelled capping. Apologies. There you go.
All right. Let's give it a try.
There you go. I've done it. There we go.
Our poll is live.
I should have a career. There we go.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh, and it moves in real time. Great stuff.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll look at the results in a second.
There's going to be some really interesting things that will come out, I think, over the next couple of years in that measurement space. Like there's some having spent some time in analytics. Like one of the things like dull stuff like balancing, sampling, the robustness of data sets, all those kind of things is going to be fascinating. Setting up appropriate testing strategies, cross-channel, cross-platform. Like there's going to be some guys out there that are either going to have to make a fortune on software, or like find some really smart ways to do kind of really cheap kind of metrics. So anyway, there we go.
Yeah.
Have to get that maths degree back out.
Yeah, I'll get my A-level maths book and come out again.
Yeah, more than
there
ever.
We go.
Right.
There we go. I've ended it.
Okay. Did you ended it? Okay. Can we show the results? How do we show the results? I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, you can just click on polls. 62% measurement, 25 targeting, 12 capping.
Okay, so definitely measurement, which I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, we don't talk to a lot of brands, or most of our contacts are within the ad tech world, right? But every time we have discussion with brand, they're a lot more focused on the ability to measure the ROI of their investment than they are on actually targeting. Like this is I think it's quite representative, right? 62% the measurement is quite a strong majority.
Yeah, and actually capping. That actually is very. So the things I think about when I'm often in measurement and targeting first, I'll be honest, capping doesn't really come up that often in conversations.
Really?
No. Maybe it might just be the types of people I speak to, but I
think it might be dependent on the type of brands, right? Because P&G was built on reach and frequency, right?
Yeah,
and for I don't know if you've got that type of client for whom it's particularly important, Frith, but
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think in terms of the capping, to be honest, I think if you haven't got the measurement right, the capping is kind of not nonsense. That's not true, but it's very hard to know and understand if it's providing success. So I think potentially that's why it's harder to kind of analyze the success, because without an actual true common identity layer and then actually truly being able to measure, how are you going to know totally if your capping is ideal? So I think that's probably where it is. But I think from basic kind of like running media campaigns and in an environment where you can control the identity, 100% capping is essential to achieving your marketing objectives. 100%. So it's definitely important, but I think you need to be able to actually tie it back to the results accurately, which is the bit that we're missing in the middle, I suppose.
And I think particularly if you go back to some of the stuff we saw in the ISBA report about kind of, the transparency and other bits, it could well be that some brands just go, look, agree reach and frequency capping key within, you can do that very well within individual platforms, cross-platform. There's the vagaries. Some people go, "Oh, the third-party cookie's dying. It's a real shame." It was fairly rubbish in many areas. There's not percentage of plans here. So it's an important, but measurement, I think is fairly critical, particularly now in this cross-platform world.
Yeah, and it's a very good point you're making, right? We've been hanging on to a situation that wasn't perfect anyway, and kind of the Chrome announcement being the nail in the coffin, right? Forces us to reinvent identity for advertising in a much better way, in a way that's much more respectful of users' data and privacy, but also more efficient, more portable across platforms, more better suited to do things like cross environment, like the whole problem of mobile, CTV, web. Like, how do you work across those universes, and how do you frequency cap? How do you target? How do you measure performance? Right, it's something that is super difficult to address, and that we have a chance to improve by redesigning identity in a cross-platform mindset.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it all. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, go.
I think again, it's, you mentioned like the third party made us kind of stop and go, right, we really need to solve this. And I think it's the same as you mentioned around kind of like the reporter and kind of like, okay, there is definite key problems within our ecosystem, transparency, we've got a problem around identity. Like, these are all things that we just need to sort out, like, to make this all work. And I think kind of you sometimes need something to actually like push it to be like, okay, now we've got to do something about it. Now we've got an opportunity to design this ecosystem how we should have probably designed it 10, 15 years ago, but we all got a bit excited and built lots of companies and built this crazy thing too quickly. But if we were to stop and do it again, I think it would have been done in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the report, there was a bit of it that was kind of, again, like 2014, 2016, 2018, like the themes have been the same. The numbers have gone up and down a little bit, but the themes have been the same. And I'm always kind of minded to kind of think about that kind of cost, speed, quality grid. And at the moment, like, everything is very much geared towards kind of, you can do it really cheap and you can do it really quickly. We haven't got that quality bit built in yet, and privacy have been knocking on the door for the last 2 years or so, saying you need to get your arse in gear. Like, that's a date that might shift given the code. Well, it has in the UK, with the RTB stuff, investigation by the ICO, but like the Google one's not going to move because not in a bad way. Like, there's a lot in it for them. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. Maybe not the best reason not to move it, but at least, I guess, it's we need the incentive, right? We need the motivation. We need the push to make things happen. Okay, we're getting to the end of our time, but I just wanted to have a chat about like the next 6 months. What are you looking forward to outside of going back outside and having a drink with your teams? What's in it for you in terms of like the focus and the what's going to be the highlights of the second part of the year for you guys?
Yeah, so I can start. So I think like overall our priorities do remain intact to what we kind of set up at the beginning of the year. It's around source and really delivering out this and aligning more with the whole ecosystem to come against these kinds of themes to kind of deliver a better supply chain. So I think that definitely stays and remains intact, and it's definitely a key focus of mine. And then I think around, I think we definitely are going big on CTV and all the elements around that, the media, the identity, the attribution, everything that's needed to really round out that as an area of focus is definitely where we're kind of doubling down on.
Yeah, we do each year we bring out our kind of key things we think that CMO should be thinking about each year, and that's kind of sets our strategy for kind of how we engage with the market. And the two of the key ones are total customer experience. So like essentially, how do we help brands bring together that CRM, media, and customer experience in a seamless way for a consumer, whether it's a customer or a prospect. So like as we're with, I think, through the rest of this year, like that is going to be a really big focus. The number two thing we have in our Merkle imperatives, we call them, is identity, because identity enables that. So like I think how we see the next 12 months evolving is probably a lot around helping brands with capturing, managing, and appropriate use of their first party data, and then looking at how we can help them connect that more efficiently and effectively into the media ecosystems, as well as connect that back into their own internal owned platforms.
Identity underpinning those major brand focus. I love this.
Yes, don't you worry.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to both of you for your participation. It was a great chat. Frith, thank you from MediaMath. Nick, thank you very much from Merkle. It was a pleasure, and we'll see everyone back here in a couple of weeks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you much.
Bye-bye.